13 days ago, I said right here on Indisputable that I've concluded the DOJ is criminally investigating Donald Trump. Well, they are. Now, here's what's interesting. All of a sudden, after his property gets raided by the FBI, Republicans are anti-police. They are pro defund the police, and they are outraged, according to them, by the weaponization of politics against a particular individual. Now, remember, these are the same people that said, lock her up, referencing Hillary Clinton, and wanted her to be prosecuted by then FBI Director Comey. To give you an idea of the breakdown of Republicans, here's a little something for you.
Guys, I'm pissed. We are a nation of law and order, and this raid by the FBI on President Trump's home is totally un-American. This is Gestapo crap, and it will not stand.
Alex, it's a very, very sad day for America. This is the kind of thing you expect to see in Soviet Russia, Nazi Germany, communist Cuba, but not what you would expect to see in the United States.
This is the worst attack on this republic in modern history, period.
This is some third world right here. Let me say it again, third world. I mean every word of that. I don't care that it's cable news. I was a federal agent. I raised my right hand. And I swore to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. And I love this country. This is a freaking disgrace.
This is the first time in my lifetime that I would say I am deathly afraid for Donald Trump. I would not put assassination behind these people.
Yeah. Okay. So let me give you some background, connect some dots here, show you the irony of all of this. Number one, none of the Republican supporters of Donald Trump are talking about the classified documents he must have in his possession. Even Donald Trump, in his own statement, he's really not pushing back on the fact that they did remove documents he should not have had in his home. Now, remember, a few months ago, we learned that he took roughly 15 boxes of things that the National Archives said, hey, we need to search those and we need you to give those back. Well, he said he did and called it a routine thing, basically normative activity between the archive office and a former president. Well, that's not the case. So the former president confirmed, obviously, that the FBI did in fact raid his property at Mar-a-Lago and said, they even broke into my safe. Yeah. He was at Trump Tower in New York when the search warrant was executed in Florida. A person familiar told CNN, my beautiful home, Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida, is currently under siege, raided and occupied by a large group of FBI agents, Trump said in a statement Monday evening. The FBI raid was a part of an investigation into the handling of presidential documents. I'm gonna get into that in a moment. It included classified documents that may have been brought there. 3 people familiar with the situation told CNN. The extraordinary move to search the home of a former president raises the stakes for the Justice Department and comes as Trump's legal troubles continue on multiple fronts. Trump is also expected in the coming months to announce that he will launch another bid for the White House in 2024. Now, why is he waiting? He's waiting because he's such an unpopular individual in general elections that if he announces he's running right now, it will in fact harm conservatives in the midterm. So he, based on the strategy, is going to wait. Now, does that mean he won't change his mind? Of course not. The guy's a loose cannon. Outrage from lawmakers. So here's what one Republican representative said. He said, it's time for us in the Florida legislature to call an emergency legislative session and amend our laws regarding federal agencies, sever all ties with DOJ immediately. Any FBI agent conducting law enforcement functions outside of the purview of our state should be arrested upon sight. Marjorie Taylor Greene put it this way: defund the police, I mean the FBI. Yeah. Even Trump supporters have been gathering outside of his estate because Trump is their cult leader. That's called occultic behavior. Okay, let's be very clear. The department in charge of this raid, they deal with national security documents typically, which means 9 times out of 10, if they are conducting a raid, if they're in charge of the investigation, it's because you are mishandling classified information. Now, I have to pose this question, and some of you may say, well, Doc, that's extreme. Keep this in mind. Donald Trump was told to return these documents multiple times. He did not. If the DOJ sends federal agents to raid your home, that means it has gone through a bureaucracy which includes probable cause evidence, it includes a judicial signature, and it includes the premise that they believe if they actually send a subpoena to compel the production of these documents, Donald Trump will either A, destroy the documents, or B, try to hide them. Okay, you know how much it takes to get one of these warrants, period? Much less get a warrant like this against a former United States president. Once again, nobody is pushing back on the fact that Donald Trump was in possession of information or classified documents he never should have had. I posed the question, what was his intent with this classified information? Was this negligent, corrupt capitalist willing to trade some of this information for profit? You have to pose these questions at this point. Why did he not return it? Why did he take it in the first place? Why was there a raid? Why was there a good faith basis to assume that he would not produce the documentation by way of subpoena? All right, to help us answer those questions, obviously our legal analyst and attorney at law. Adrian, this is a big deal. You and I talked about this offline yesterday. How much of a big deal is this, and why is it that the DOJ did not simply serve him a subpoena to produce these documents?
Well, I would definitely agree with your conclusion about DOJ not serving Trump with a subpoena, because he does have a history of trying to destroy items, as that story broke yesterday about him trying to flush things down the toilet at the White House and at other locations. Also, he has a history of taking documents that do not belong to him and that should not be within his control, whether they are classified or not. The thing that I find to be really interesting here in terms of DOJ, one of the reasons it may not have subpoenaed him is, well, given his criminal history, but also the fact that they, like you noted, already had given him notice. The fact is that back in February, when they had taken those 15 boxes and returned them to National Archives, he already knew. So it told you to some extent that the documents that he continued to maintain and to keep in his possession, that he was doing that intentionally and knowingly, which is very different from the situation with Hillary. Also, we want to bear in mind that with 18 USC 2701 or 2071, that it makes it not only illegal to keep these documents, but also if somebody is convicted of this, that they serve up to 3 years, potentially in prison with a fine, but also that they can never run for office to be a member of whether it's Congress or for presidency. So in the event that he is actually convicted of having these documents, whether he serves time or not, it means that he would not run on that 2024 ticket. And I will also note that the reason he hasn't more than likely announced his candidacy for 2024 is because he doesn't want to abide by campaign finance laws. The fact is that he can continue to collect money going out on these little campaign, CPAC, and all the other speaking trails, and he can get those donations without having to abide by the campaign finance laws. And so he just gets to essentially pocket that through one of his PACs or anything else that he has set up, so or nonprofits. This man is focused on money, and I wouldn't be surprised if he had those documents in his possession because he was going to use that information at some point against someone.
Isn't that so interesting, so fascinating, and so sad that we have a former president of the United States holding on to obviously classified information, refusing to give that information up under multiple investigations? As I said, this guy's going to be a defendant until the day he dies of some sort.